Hi guys, just a quick review here for the FV4202. I had a little bit of free time today, although I'm pushing it close, so I thought I'd try getting a video done for this one. Now, this used to be one of my favourite tanks in the game, back before it was removed. I never quite got on with the Centurion Action X. Found the gun trolled me quite a bit, and I missed this tank. Now, before it was removed, its strengths used to be that it had a really good upper plate. It was sloped back at a really steep angle so it could bounce a lot of shots. The tank had amazing terrain resistances, so it just didn't slow down, and the gun was great, really good gun handling. Plus it had the HESH, which made it a lot of fun and made it great at killing other medium tanks, light tanks, artillery, and paper TDs, things like waffles and stuff like that. Downsides to it were that the turret was made of paper, and its top speed was 40 kilometers, and it didn't have a heat shell or premium APCR, so you couldn't get penetration up to 330, things like that. Now it's been added back, I was curious to see what kind of state it was in, and as you can tell by the fact it just bounced shots of the turret, that's been buffed. It's 200mm on the turret now, all the way around, other than the angle part above the top of the turret, which thickness wise is a bit less than the rest, but it's angled back quite steeply, so there's not really going to be much pen in that, I don't think. The tank still has its really good upper plate, and it's had a speed buff. It now goes at 50 kilometers per hour while maintaining the amazing ground resistances that it used to have. The ammo loadout is the same as it used to be, which I'm glad for. That's people who used to have this tank wouldn't have wanted the HESH taken away. That's part of what gave this tank its character. Other than that, it plays just like the old 4202 did, just better really. The rate of fire seems okay. I'm using food, I've got vents in it as well. My reload is less than 7 seconds, which isn't so bad. The reason I've got vents instead, because I've got a rammer vertical stabilizer in the vents instead of the optics, is because the view range is 410 anyway. I've got a good crew, and with the food and that as well, my view range is maxed out. I've gone with the vents just to help tighten up the gun handling a little bit more. It's great anyway. And just to decrease that reload time a little bit. Now, I've had 2 games in it. I had this one and Scorpion Pass. On the Scorpion Pass game, I was able to climb up the hill at the start with ease. It barely slowed to below 30 kilometers per hour going all the way up, which was really quite impressive. The reason I picked this replay though is because you get to see the armour at work, and the HESH shell. Now, a Waffenträger Panzer IV has just come up here. I fired HESH at him first and that just hit his track. That was just a bad shot on my part, but I'm going to fire another one in a minute. Now, I do actually, I believe, low roll this HESH shell, and it still hits him for 481, and it would have done module damage to him as well. These are quite nasty. Now a Batchat has rushed up. This, normally I'd be dead. Now the reason I drive forward here, get some shots at me, but if I stayed where I was, the waffle would have shot me. So I try swinging round. He bounces a shot from my side, bounces a shot off the upper plate, and then he has to run away. He gets killed on his way out. Now the sides on this have been bouncing a lot of damage in the games I've been in. When I go into the army viewer afterwards, I'll show you why that is. They're quite troll, to be fair, and the upper plate is great, just like it always was. Now at this point in the game, I waste a bit too much time trying to get pot shots over on these tanks on the far right hand side. So while it's doing that, I'll just tell you some of the other bits about the tank. You get minus 10 degrees of gun depression, which is really good. Coupled with a turret, it means if you're using that full 10 degrees, I think this turret will be near enough invincible other than maybe against tier 10 TDs. I think everything else will probably struggle to pen. If things get a good shot at your turret ring, then they'll be able to pen that. But like I say, if you're using all your gun depression, they're only going to have shots at your gun itself and the sloped armour above it, so you should be fine. View range, like I've said, is really good, so this can play the spotter and the scout role kind of well, if that's what you'd like to do. It used to have a big hatch on top. It doesn't have that anymore either, which is pretty good because that used to be another weakness of the tank. It was quite a gigantic cupola that people could get shots into. It seems, to be fair, to have had pretty much all its weaknesses taken away. This tank used to, well, still did have a fan base after it was taken out of the game, despite its flaws. Now those flaws have been removed. This might well be one of the better tier 10 mediums. Personally, I wouldn't use the Centurion Action X over this now. Not a cat and mouse job. The The Soviet mediums have always been really strong, and you know they'll continue to be no matter what. But I think out of the guns with this NATO cannon on, this might be the better one now. That's just my personal opinion, of course, but I can see this one being used a lot. Oh, there's the pattern, I suppose. The pattern's really good as well. This is probably about, yeah, maybe about equal to that, perhaps. You can see how fast it gets up to its top speed, just by me driving down there. Now, I managed to pick up the kill on him. I tried getting a shot on this guy, but it's not happening. And then I noticed that the T-54 is heading toward our base. I'd rather our artillery not die. So I decided to stop wasting my time staring at the heavy tank I'm not getting a shot at and try driving back toward our base again. Now in times past, I wouldn't have made it there anywhere near in time. I mean, spoiler alert, the artillery dies anyway. But this tank is a lot faster than it used to be. Considering it doesn't slow down and now it gets to go at 50, it's made quite a huge improvement to the tank. Like I said, I don't get there in time for the artillery, but I did want to show you what happens when I'm fighting this T-54 in a second. Because when this used to be in the game, going toe-to-toe with a T-54 wasn't really the best idea. T-54s are very dangerous. Now, I completely messed up my first shot, send that straight into the ground. That was a Hess shell. Open, shoot him in the side. At this point I've switched, because I figure he might come straight at me. And I've loaded up my standard shell. That one pens him for a bit over 400 damage, I believe. Give him a ram just to try and knock his shot off. Now I'm able to keep up with him circling with ease. That shot bounced off my side armour there on the inside. Again, I'll show you why in the armour viewer in a second. But this tank can now brawl against other medium tanks, even certain heavy tanks, which is something I struggled to do against players who knew what they were doing. But this is a medium tank that will suit aggressive play now. I don't normally bring up the victory screen, but I have done for one reason here, and that's the silver loss there. I am running food, and I did fire some premium Hess shells. However, I didn't waste many of them. That was a win. I have a premium account, my tank didn't get destroyed. That means that this tank is expensive to run, which is something worth bearing in mind. If you don't have a premium account, then it's probably going to cost you quite a lot to run this tank. I'm hoping that maybe I messed up some way there. As losing 20k on a decent damage win is something I'd only really expect in a 183, certainly not a tier 10 medium tank. Not with a premium account anyway. So that's probably something to bear in mind. Now, I'll bring up the stat screen for those who are interested. Its stats are good in every single regard. Decent engine, good gun handling, good view range, good turret armour, reverse rates, everything. Now, in the armour viewer, you'll see that the turret armour is really good. The front hull armour, while it's not majorly fit because of that angle it bounces, but it's the sides here, you can see while I was bouncing the shots, is because it's just tracks there for the most part, it's just kind of empty. So when that T-54 hit there, it just didn't really seem to do anything. The tank hull itself is really quite narrow. As you can see, the back of the turret's 200mm as well, that might catch a few people out. Overall, I was going to get I did get this tank back just because I used to love it, but I think this is genuinely one to get. It seems really quite good, and I'm glad Wargaming added it back. Okay, thanks for watching guys, cheers.